You better run, kids. There he was, Kazuki, calmly shaving, razor gliding across his jaw like nothing in the world could touch him. Then Dai walks in, sits right next to him, and without hesitation says he's got a favor to ask. Even throws in, "If you help me out, I'll make it worth your while." Wait, what are you doing, Dai? You don't even know what you're stepping into. Even Kazuki, the one who usually is the crazy in the room, pauses. He blinks, razor still in hand, and mutters, "Kids these days, bold as hell." He's rattled, just a little, but enough. Right as Dai's about to speak again, a guard storms in. "Quiet, both of you." Dai shrugs. "All right, we'll talk later." He stands and walks off. Kazuki watches him go. Something in Dai's eyes, something raw, unshakable, lingers in his mind. He mutters under his breath, that kind of look should be illegal, unless something real is going down. And for the first time in a long while, Kazuki feels something unfamiliar. A chill. Kazuki's just staring at Dai, half amused, half intrigued. "Impossible," he mutters. "Someone with a face that cute couldn't be hiding a magnum. My God, what is happening?" He waves a hand. "Go ahead, ask your question already." But Dai, strangely calm, says, "Close your eyes." Kazuki blinks. "Huh?" Still, in his usual weird vibe, he shrugs and closes them. His mind starts racing. Is this kid about to kiss me? He can't resist this perfect face, huh? Maybe we end up in solitary together. Romantic, right? He even says it out loud. "Honestly, I prefer women who are more queen than princess." But then, "Open your eyes," Dai says. Kazuki does. And the room is empty. Everyone's gone. Right then, Dai knew. This had Kamashiro written all over it. No way the guards and inmates just happened to vanish. Only someone like that bastard could pull strings this deep. Dai didn't waste time. "I want the information," he said, locking eyes with Kazuki. "Everything you know about ice." He wasn't asking out of curiosity. This wasn't a game. "That drug, it's tied to the case I was framed for. It might have killed someone. I need to know who's selling it." Kazuki just laughed, leaning back like he was watching a comedy. "And what if I say no?" Dai didn't flinch. He pulled out a razor, small, sharp, and steady, and pressed it to Kazuki's neck. "You could bleed out before anyone even notices," he said, voice low. But Kazuki didn't even blink. "Where'd a little princess like you learn to talk like that?" Dai's hand trembled, just slightly. "I don't want it to end like this," he said. And for a second, just a second, something passed between them. Not fear, not trust, but recognition. Out of nowhere, Kazuki twists Dai's arm in the opposite direction. Before Dai can react, Kazuki grabs him by the neck and slams him face first into the floor. Now I'm genuinely scared of what this lunatic's about to do. He leans in, voice calm but unsettling. "You shouldn't joke like that with an adult who has a pure heart." Then, mid-rant, Kazuki notices something. 2 small moles behind Dai's ear. "Huh? That's interesting." But before he can finish the thought, Dai snaps. He grabs Kazuki right in the weak spot, fast, precise. Kazuki groans, tries to kick him in the face, but Dai dodges, barely. Kazuki, now shaky and rattled, mutters, "This whole Misosum thing, not really my vibe." But Dai's not playing anymore. He pulls out the razor again, eyes locked. "I'm willing to do anything," he says. "For revenge." Kazuki laughs, eyes gleaming with twisted amusement. "Just one look at you," he says, "and I can tell you were a protected little prince growing up." And of course, that only makes him more unhinged. "I like girls like that even more," he adds, voice low and disturbing. Outside the bathroom, a couple of guards whisper to Kamashiro, "How long is this going to go on? If we get caught, we're done." Kamashiro shrugs. "I promised the kid 5 minutes, and if you get fired, I'll make sure you're paid enough to forget." Back inside, the tension builds. The duel's about to begin. Dai stands firm. "Just give me the info." But Kazuki shakes his head. "Information isn't free. What do I get in return?" Dai doesn't flinch. "My plan is simple. I get out of this prison. I find the person who framed me. I get revenge." He steps closer. "And after that, you can do whatever you want with me." Kazuki smirks. "I heard you're in for 15 years. Murder, right? But now the president's on your side?" He chuckles. "Cute. Like someone promising to pay their debts after winning the lottery. You don't stand a chance." Dai doesn't respond. Instead, he slices his own arm. Blood drips to the floor. "A blood oath," he says. Kazuki freezes. Behind all that rage, he sees something else. Sadness. He kneels, eyes wide, voice softer. "If you're really that serious, fine, I'll help you." Then, he leans in and licks the blood. I've memorized your genes now, he says, half joking, half sincere. He turns around, lifts his shirt, and shows a jagged scar across his back. This one, I thought I wouldn't survive. He was at a nightclub, closing a deal. One of the suppliers turned on him. That supplier? The same one dealing ice. The same drug Dai is chasing. That club, it probably still exists somewhere. Someone there must know something. Someone who can help unravel the truth. Dai grabs Kazuki's hand, eyes steady. Thanks, you helped more than you know. Kazuki, ever the lunatic, gets emotional again, his version of sincerity. But then, bam, a guard bursts in. What are you two doing? No time to explain. Both of them are thrown to the ground. The guards start tearing the place apart. Kazuki glances at Dai as they're dragged away. We'll meet again, he says, like a promise. Cut to later. Dai's in solitary, straight jacket, no light, no comfort. Food gets tossed through the door like trash. What the hell, man? That's just cruel. But Dai doesn't care. 2 weeks of this? Nothing compared to 15 years in that hellhole. He needed energy. Weakness wasn't an option. So yeah, he ate off the floor. No hesitation. If crawling across the world was the price of revenge, Dai would do it. 2 weeks later, the door slammed open. Stop acting like that, someone barked. Dai looked up, dazed. I thought solitary ended sooner. Kamishiro stepped in, calm as ever. I've got influence, he said, but I don't own this place. Half the guards, especially the higher-ups, aren't under my control. Still, he'd managed to get them in the same cell. It was the best he could do. Dai sat down beside him, quiet for a moment. I thought a lot during solitary, he said, about my case, about you. He turned to Kamishiro. I think it's time you told me your story, and how we're getting out of here. Dai makes it clear. If Kamishiro doesn't talk, he's not sharing the ice intel Kazuki gave him. Kamishiro raises an eyebrow. Don't you already have a good idea who framed you? Dai hesitates. Not 100%, but Kato's on my mind. That guy from the bar, and Dan Joasaki. Kamishiro nods. Your intuition's solid, but the problem is, your enemy's powerful. Escaping this place won't be enough for revenge. He leans in. That's why I'm going to make sure you have the weapons to finish this. Dai blinks. You mean like cryptocurrencies or something? Kamishiro chuckles. First, I want to hear more about the night of the incident. So they talk. For a long time, Karo joins in, asking, that night, after you left the bar, did the victim call you to the hotel? Dai nods slowly. And when you got there, Karo continues, the guy who worked with you, the one who was supposed to be your friend, gave you a drink. Dai's voice drops. Yeah, and not long after, I blacked out. Dai says the part about the drink being spiked is still just a suspicion, but he remembers clearly. Kadote handed it to him, then oddly asked for half of it back. And honestly, Dai can't think of any other way things could have gone down like that. Kamishiro leans in. So what happened next? You woke up in bed, and then the police showed up? Dai nods. Exactly. Kamishiro exhales. That kind of coincidence? It's too perfect, too clean. Dai continues. Right before that, I'd met Joasaki. He was the only lawyer I knew, so I called him. Kamashiro's eyes narrow. And Joasaki made you confess. Dai nods again. Yeah, said it was the only way to avoid something worse. Kamishiro pauses. Then the real question is, what connects Kadote to Joasaki? Dai doesn't hesitate. It's Dagura, that damn President Dagura. He's the one who introduced me to Joasaki, and the way he acted around women, disgusting. Dai doesn't hold back. That bastard killed Sayaka, he says. Used Kadote to pin it on me. And Jobaki, he was probably bought off to play lawyer. Kamishiro nods slowly. Even without hard proof, I'm sure of it. Those three framed you. Dai's mind spirals. 15 years. Locked away for a crime he didn't commit. All because of them. He starts scratching at his neck, breathing uneven, slipping into a storm of rage and despair. Kamishiro steps in, voice steady. Calm down. You need to hold on to hope. Sweet revenge is coming. Dai snaps back. Then hand over the 50 billion already. I'll personally make sure those bastards rot in hell. Kamishiro sighs, eyes heavy with calculation. You can't rush this. For the plan to work, we need serious preparation and the perfect moment. At the very least, it would take another year or two. Even with 50 billion in hand, it'd be useless if Dai didn't know how to wield it. What he lacked right now wasn't power, it was knowledge. Kamishiro pulls the Count of Monte Cristo off the shelf and holds it up. There's a quote in here, he says, wait and hope until the perfect opportunity appears. He's serious, He's going to pass everything he knows to Dai. They head to the library. And no, ma'am, it's not punches, kicks, or gunfire. They're starting with economics. Dai follows Jindai's advice without question. The old man knows things, deep things. And the first lesson? How to read a book, Kamishiro says. First, scan the entire content. Get the shape of it. Then dive deep. You don't even need to understand everything at first, Kamishiro had said. Speed is what matters. And that's exactly how Dai started, devouring every book in sight. Day or night, locked in that cell, reading was the only thing he could truly control. So he made it count. One-handed push-ups while flipping pages with the other. Pure madness. Pure focus. When the energy ran out, he'd crash face first onto the floor. Kamishiro walked in one day, eyebrows raised. "What the hell are you doing?" Dai, panting, replied, "Memorizing company data, like you told me." Kamishiro blinked. "There are over 4,000 companies." Dai nodded. "I know, it's taking time." Kamishiro laughed. "You're insane. Doing push-ups while memorizing corporate profiles?" But deep down, he was impressed. This kid wasn't just surviving, he was transforming. It all clicked for Dai after losing to Ruji, beaten down, humiliated, and again when he fought Hazuki. Without strength, knowledge meant nothing. He understood now. To survive, to win, you needed both. Kamishiro nodded, satisfied. "You're starting to grasp the essence of survival." Then he stood. "You've got economics down. Now it's time for the art of manipulation." Out in the prison yard, a guy with green hair wrapped tight in a coat was keeping to himself. His name was Tako. Dai approached slowly. Tako flinched, startled, backing off like he'd seen a ghost. But Dai just smiled, calm and collected. "Mind if I sit?" He lowered himself beside him, casual. "I'm Enomoto Dai," he said. "You're Tako, right?" Tako shifts awkwardly, eyes darting. "How do you know my name?" Dai smiles. "I just overheard a guard say it, that's all." Tako looks down, a little embarrassed. "Yeah, I know it's a weird name. People tease me for it. I don't really like talking much." But Dai leans in, voice warm. "Actually, I think it's a cool name, and I wanted to learn more about you." Tako blushes, shy and soft-spoken. I was arrested for manipulating the stock market. Now I'm stuck here for a long time." He hesitates. "I don't do well with people." Dai nods. "Relax, we look about the same age. We could be friends." So they talk, casual, calm. But every word is calculated. This is part of Dai's manipulator training. And Kamishiro, watching from a distance, nods with approval. "Not bad," he says. "You did well for your first time." Dai repeats one of Kamishiro's golden rules. Listen 70%, speak 30%. Make eye contact when asking something, always compliment. And he did exactly that. That's how he managed to befriend Tako. Kamishiro watches from a distance, nodding. "It might seem simple," he says, "but with most people, it's not. You've got the right personality for it." Dai barely notices. Maybe, just maybe, he's falling for the old con game himself. Still, he comments, "Tako seems smart, like, really understands the stock market." Kamishiro smiles. "In that case, we should invite him to study with us." Dai hesitates. Was he really that good? Good enough that we need to learn from him? Kamishiro's eyes narrow. Yes, he was well known in the industry. Then he adds, "But that's not the only reason." Dai was starting to understand. The goal he had in mind, revenge, escape justice, it was impossible to reach alone. He'd need allies, and to keep those allies close, he'd need power and charm. Kamishiro watched him closely. "You've got talent," he said. "That much is clear." Dai nodded, grateful. "Thanks, but why are you being so kind to me?" Kamishiro smiled faintly. "Try guessing." Dai thought for a moment. "Maybe you need help escaping too. Maybe you're in a situation like mine." Kamishiro tilted his head. "Not a bad guess." But Dai cut him off, eyes burning. "Honestly, I don't care if you're using me. I'd sell my soul to the devil if it meant getting revenge." Kamishiro raised a hand, calm and composed. "Don't be so anxious. Timing is everything." Everything would be revealed once Dai graduated from Kamishiro's school. And with that cryptic promise, the old man walked away from the table, leaving Dai confused but curious. Days passed. The learning never stopped. There they were, Dai, Kamishiro, and Tako, camped out in the prison library like it was Wall Street. Tako was deep in his element, explaining camel charts, investment law, market psychology, and how to spot competitors. Dai soaked it all in, eyes sharp, questions ready. Even Kamishiro chimed in, pointing out patterns and saying Dai had a real eye for picking the right companies. And at night, you think they stopped? No way. Dai slept next to the old man, who whispered lessons about politics and global patterns like bedtime stories. Even during workouts, Dai was grinding. Push-ups, squats, and Kamashiro literally on his back, teaching him English mid-rep. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was transformation. Kamashiro tossed a thick book across the cell, 3,000 vocabulary words. Not the best place to learn, he said, but it's what we've got. And Dai? He never missed a day of training. From barely managing 3 pull-ups, he was now cranking out 19 like it was nothing. Time passed. Green trees turned yellow. Snow began to fall. That's how seasons work, right? And now, sometime later, our little minion was doing 47 one-handed pull-ups. What the heck, man? He was levitating while reading. 50 reps. No sweat. Taco watched, wide-eyed. You really got strong, Dai. The kid looked like a Max Steel action figure. Dai grinned. You really think so? Everyone was training now. The energy had shifted. Later, Dai turned to Kamashiro, curious. So, what's the deal with having a woman? Kamashiro leans back, half smirking. If I had a woman by my side, things would be much easier. Dai, a little awkward, scratches his neck. I used to have a girlfriend. Kamashiro waves it off. Doesn't matter. You're handsome enough to get one again. The problem is, you're too kind. You need to learn how to make things happen. He places a hand on Dai's shoulder, pulls him close, and whispers something in his ear. Dai blushes, caught off guard. Wait, does that actually work? Kamashiro chuckles. You'll only know if you try it. Then he adds, but I think you'd do great with women. You're so dedicated to your mom. Dai frowns, confused. What does that have to do with anything? Kamashiro smiles, eyes twinkling. A man who respects his mother usually knows how to treat a woman right. That kind of energy? It shows. Kamashiro leans in with that usual glint of mischief. Let's say you went back in time and took your mother out on a date. How would you treat her? Dai stares at him, baffled. What kind of crazy talk is that? But the question lingers, and suddenly, memories flood in. The media had called her the woman who died from the shock of what happened to her son. Kamashiro's voice softens. I'm sure she was a good mother. The person you are now, that's her legacy. Dai looks down, a little embarrassed. I'm not so sure about that. Kamashiro nods, thoughtful. I believe the afterlife exists, and when you get out of this place, you should visit her grave. I bet she's still waiting to see you. Dai doesn't say anything. He just cries, and maybe he doesn't even know why. Sometimes it feels like that old man's just playing Dai like a fiddle. Sweet mentor or smooth manipulator, hard to tell. But hey, one thing's for sure. Our boy's training like a beast. Shredded abs, stacked muscle, pushing 300 kilos like it's breakfast. Ben, bam! Kamashiro strolls in, cool as ever, tossing a compliment Dai's way. Then he nods toward a slim, sharp-looking guy across the yard. You see him? He asks. Dai glances over. That's Haruki, Kamashiro says. Used to be a TV host. When the time's right, get close to him. Watch him. He'll be key to getting out of here. Dai files it away, eyes narrowing. But before he can say anything, a guard steps into the yard. Inmate 1034, he calls out. You've got a visitor. Dai freezes. A visitor? After all this time, who could it possibly be? Dai thought it'd be a friend, or maybe a villain, something dramatic. But no, it's a guy named Yamashita from the Criminal Investigation Department. Dai greets him, sits down, and asks calmly, So, what can I do for you two? Before Yamashita can answer, Dai leans forward, eyes lit up. Wait, are you reopening my case? The chubby officer shifts awkwardly, clearly embarrassed. No, calm down. We're not here for that. Dai blinks. Then what? Yamashita exhales. We want to talk about someone named Kamashiro Jindai. Before continuing, he pulls out a cigarette. Mind if I smoke? Dai shrugs. Cool. As he lights up, Yamashita asks, Are you close with Kamashiro? Dai replies, We're in the same cell. We talk now and then. Yamashita nods slowly. That man wasn't just arrested for murder. He was also involved in one of the biggest financial crimes we've ever seen. Kamashiro had been sealed away with absurd damage, both physical and political. And now, it seemed the authorities had caught wind of something else. Hidden money. Cryptocurrency. Dai knew exactly what they were talking about. Yamashita leaned in. To be direct, we want you to find out where it's hidden. Dai raised an eyebrow. So you want me to be a spy? Yamashita shook his head. Not a spy, just someone cooperating. He lit another cigarette. It would be a big help to the Ministry of Justice, and you'd be rewarded properly. Then he added, almost casually, early release might even be possible. Dai froze. 10 years still remained on his sentence, which meant he'd already been locked up for 5. The worst part? After all this time, Kamashiro Jindai was still a complete enigma. Yamashita placed a hand on Dai's shoulder. "You're a good kid," he said. "You don't belong in a place like this." Then he smiled, wide, unsettling. The kind of grin you'd see on a titan just before it bites. "You need to live smart." But Dai didn't flinch. Instead, he asked, "Do you believe in the afterlife?" Yamashita chuckled. "What? That again?" Dai nodded. "Kamashiro's the one who brought it up." Then, without warning, Dai stood. "Someone like Kamashiro, he's rational. He wouldn't say something like that just to comfort me." He looked the detective dead in the eye. "That's why I won't betray him." Yamashita bites his lip. "All right then, but you're going to regret this." Dai just waves him off, calm and cold, and with that, he's escorted away. Honestly, you can't blame him. He swore he'd never trust the authorities again. Better to be tricked by Kamashiro than by that chubby officer who never lifted a finger for him. Cut 2, a glass of wine being poured. Dagura swirls it gently. "This 1995 vintage is wonderful." Across from him sits Joasaki, sharp suit, sharper tongue. "Do you remember Dai Enomoto?" he asks. Dagura chuckles. "Of course, that idiot who used to live the good life, now rotting behind bars." Joasaki leans in. "Word is, he's gotten close to Kamashiro Jindai." Dagura freezes mid-sip. "You mean that Jindai?" Joasaki nods, firm. "It'd be much better if Dai Enomoto just disappeared." Dagura, sloppy and half-drunk, shrugs. "Whatever. The kid's locked up. What's he gonna do?" Joasaki leans forward. "He was arrested young, 15-year sentence. That means he'll be out soon enough." Dagura blinks, suddenly more alert. "That's why," Joasaki says, dialing a number. "We need to deal with this sooner rather than later." "I've got a favor to ask," he says into the phone. Cut to back in prison. Haruki is chatting with Dai, cheerful as ever. "I used to work at a bar too," he says. "Got fired, though." Then Haruki, another oddball, grabs Haruki by the shoulders. "You're both kind people," he says, eyes wide. "This place, it's full of peculiar souls. And the lack of women? Yeah, it's definitely messing with their heads." Later, Dai walks out of the yard. Kamashiro's waiting. "How'd the conversation go?" Dai shrugs. He seemed nice, but honestly, hard to read. He smiled with his mouth, but not with his eyes. Kamashiro noticed. "Keep watching him," he said, "and trust your intuition." Then he shifted gears. "Do you remember Ruji Bamba?" Dai's jaw tightened. Of course he remembered. The guy who nearly beat him to death. The one who'd been locked in solitary ever since. And now he'd just been released. One look at his face, and it was clear. Ruji wasn't happy about the time he spent there. Kamashiro leaned in. "Ruji has a little sister. He cares about her more than anything. A few years ago, something terrible happened to her. She's been in the hospital ever since." Dai's eyes widened. Now it made sense. Why Ruji had snapped when he heard about Dai's case. Kamashiro's voice dropped. "Whether it's true or not, you need to be more careful." Sometime later, inside Bamba's cell, everyone's tense. Even though Bamba's just sitting there, flipping through a small magazine like nothing's wrong. Then the cell door creaks open. The guard steps in. New arrivals. And in walks Kamashiro, waving casually. Bamba's eyes narrow. "So the bastard still does whatever he wants in here, huh?" Kamashiro shrugs. "Doesn't matter. I'm just the king of a prison. Still not free." Bamba leans forward. "Spit it out." Kamashiro nods. "I've got a small favor to ask. It's about someone who's been serving under me for a while." Meanwhile, out, Haruki pats Dai on the back, cheerful as ever. "Don't worry, man. Those 10 years will fly by. You'll be out before you know it." Dai forces a smile, but his mind's elsewhere. Why did Kamashiro say Haruki would be important in the escape plan? Then, out of nowhere, Haruki chimes in. "I can't wait to get out and commit the exact crime you were accused of." Dai freezes. What the hell did he just say? "There's nothing better," Haruki says, eyes gleaming, than using certain substances to turn people into puppets. Dai's expression shifts instantly. "What are you talking about?" Haruki smirks. "Stop pretending. I looked into your case. We're the same." Dai stiffens. "You just need to learn how to leave fewer traces," Haruki adds, voice low and twisted. But before he can finish, a shadow looms behind him. Dai tries to warn him. "Haruki, behind you." Too late, a massive arm wraps around Haruki's neck. It's Bamba. His voice is ice. "I'm gonna make you suffer, just like those women." Dai steps forward. Wait, man, just listen. But Bamba's done talking. Crack. A sharp snap echoes through the corridor. Necks don't bend like that unless something's broken. Night falls. A doctor opens the door to one of the wings. Inside, Kamashiro sits calmly. How's the preparation going? He asks. The doctor sighs. Unfortunately, Haruki is in critical condition. Vital signs are low. It's serious. Dai clenches his fists. That idiot Bamba went after him, and I tried to step in, got beat up too. The doctor nods grimly. With the equipment we've got here, the surgery was nearly impossible, but somehow we pulled it off. He shakes his head. I don't even know what kind of madness we managed, but Kamashiro, he's incredible. Without him, it wouldn't have worked. Kamashiro offers a quiet nod, praising the doctor's effort. But in the corner of the room, a guard is listening. Silent. Still, then, he moves, steps forward, opens the door. Inside, Haruki and Dai lie in their beds, wrapped in bandages like mummies. The guard walks over. No words, just action. He injects something into Dai's IV bag. Beep. The hospital monitor starts screaming. The scene cuts to Sidmi, Dai's ex-girlfriend. And look who shows up. Kadak-gu, that bastard. He's holding 2 concert tickets. It's the singer you like, he says. Thought maybe we could have some fun. But it's been 5 years, and Sidmi's still not herself. She shakes her head gently. I'm not in the mood. Dang, turns out she really cared about Dai. Kadak, still trying, still failing, leans in. Are you still waiting for him? She pauses, then turns around, eyes steady. I'm sure Dai would never do something like that. Kadok's face shifts. I heard something, he says, from a judge. It's really sad. Sidmi's breath catches. She knows it's about Dai. Kadok lowers his voice. Apparently, he went through some complications, died of a heart attack. Seru freezes, then drops to her knees. Tears stream down her face. Kadode wraps his arms around her. It's okay, he murmurs. It's hard. Dai really was a good person. Cut to the prison library. Tako slams the table. He was just trying to stop a fight, so why'd it have to be him? Kamashiro sits quietly, eyes shadowed. I still can't believe he died like that. But did he? One of the guards nearby shakes his head. It's tragic. He was about to get parole, and he was the one who got beat by Bamba. He pauses. But in the end, it was the other guy who lost his life. The doctor nods. Yeah, in a twisted way, it kind of makes sense. Cut to Dagura and Joasaki, grinning, celebrating, finally free of Enomoto Dai's existence. Kamashiro? He was in for life. Just a relic of the prison now. A cane. A shadow. Nothing they had to worry about. Dagura raises a glass. The plan was perfect, Joasaki nods. Now we just stay on track. Dagura smirks. Soon, I'm going to make a lot of money. With a wicked grin, Joasaki looks up. Finally, he says, we've got nothing to fear. But outside the prison, someone steps through the gates, black hair. The guard nods respectfully. Hope you recover soon. The boy thanks him, voice calm. The door shuts behind him. He raises a hand to block the sunlight. I'm finally out. Next stop, his mother's grave. He lays down flowers, kneels and whispers, sorry it took so long. From the faint mark behind his ear, we know exactly who it is. He lowers his head. Sorry I came back with a different face. Cut to the hospital. Dai sits upright, bandaged, eyes wide. Are you seriously asking me to die? Kamashiro stands beside him, calm as ever. I told you before, he says. The time has come to abandon your life as Enomoto Dai. The doctor steps in. We're going to transplant your entire face and scalp. So yeah, he was going to switch places with that guy. Dai stared at Kamashiro, stunned. This is insane. A surgery like that, it's not even possible. Kamashiro didn't flinch. You should take advantage of this. That guy next to you? Trash. No way they'd ever let someone like that walk out of here. He leaned in. I told you from the beginning, you had to be ready. And in the operating room? Dai made his choice. He abandoned his life as Enomoto Dai. And man, it was straight up Halloween mask style. They peeled it all off. Face, scalp, everything. One face swapped for another. That day, he walked out of the room as Takahashi Haruki. Slick, handsome, unrecognizable. He looked up at the sky, smiled and whispered, Don't worry, Mom, because starting now, my revenge against those bastards begins. A few days later, he's soaking in a warm bath at a karaoke building, steam rising, neon lights flickering outside. The scars from the surgery are fading, but the real challenge? Getting it into his head. He's not Enomoto Dai anymore. He's Haruki now. That morning, when he first woke up in the hospital, he panicked. Wait, where's Haruki? The doctor didn't hesitate. He's dead. Heart attack, they said, but it didn't add up. The surgery had gone perfectly. His vitals were stable. He was still under heavy sedation. Kamashiro didn't blink. He was killed. Dai frowned. Why would someone come into a prison to kill him? Kamashiro's voice was cold, because the one who was supposed to die wasn't him. He looked Dai in the eye. The one who died today was Enomoto. That's when it hits him. The guy died because they switched faces. And somehow Dai feels angry at himself. Indirectly, he caused it. But then again, considering who died, maybe it was justice. Haruki passed away peacefully, still doped, sirens humming in the background. Easy exit. Good thing he got roughed up beforehand. The doctor shakes his head. I had no idea this would happen. Kamashiro doesn't blink. It's karma. For what he did outside, he'll have fun in hell. At least now they didn't have to worry about Kamashiro waking up with someone else's face and losing it. Still, rough deal. You get beat up, then wake up with a new face. It's like an isekai, except not. You didn't get reincarnated, you just got screwed. Now Dai's wondering, what happens next? Kamashiro answers without hesitation. You're going to be released in his place. And then you begin. 2 years of planning. Now it's time. Later, Dai, now Haruki, enters the guy's old room. He grabs the phone, the wallet, the black cards, stacks of cash, everything. He stares at his reflection in the phone screen, remembers Haruki's twisted words. Getting girls hooked on drugs, that's the real game. Mikagi lies nearby, half asleep, doesn't even flinch. Dai exhales. None of that matters now.